This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Well, the Eagles preseason finale is officially over. We look forward to the regular season. We look forward to the cuts by this Tuesday and obviously Wednesday with the practice squad that will be formed with 16 players. So it's going to be really exciting. This is a back-end roster type game, so some things barely look pretty, and a lot of things were ugly in this game. But you're looking at player analysis with a few players to definitely talk about. We're going to be talking about going into some of the positions, who dressed, who didn't dress, and Jahan Dotson spoke to the media after the game. A lot to talk about there, so let's get straight into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So the Vikings beat the Eagles 26-3. Okay, the Eagles really couldn't sustain any drives in this game. It was ugly. This is the back end of your roster. So things aren't going to look pretty looking throughout this game. But there's definitely a few things to talk about of this roster now going into roster cuts and obviously getting that practice squad formed by Tuesday, or Wednesday, I should say. Now, before I go into anything, this is a video sponsored by BetUS, and this is a word from our sponsors. If I'm the betting man, then I am, and you're rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles, this is the redemption year for Jalen Hurts. This is the year we get the bad taste out of our mouths from last season. If I'm going all in, ride or die with a Super Bowl and bringing that Lombardi trophy back to Philadelphia for a second time, you need to go to BetUS, and I'm not wasting any time with it. I'm putting $500 down as the risk and getting $7,000 back at the end of the year because this offense is going to be explosive. This defense by Vic Fangio, it's going to be dynamic. New customers for BetUS get $125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. You can't pass up on this for the most important season for the Philadelphia Eagles. Check the link in the description below, and I want to thank BetUS for sponsoring this video. Now, going through the positions for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think one is to talk about the quarterback position where, Jalen Hurts is the starter, but who will be the backup? Who will be number 2 to number 3? It looks like Will Greer will be the odd man out from some of the comments from Ross Tucker has said. But I think we already figured that out at this point. But, Kenny Pickett didn't really have a good day. I mean, are you really surprised? 6 for 9, 58 yards, 1 run for 4 rushing yards. I mean, he didn't do much of anything. And even because you're working with the back end of your roster, there's no first, there's no seconds, in front of Pickett or Tanner McKee. So there's not, there's really no good offensive lineman really playing. Guys aren't really making some good protections because protection was god-awful for the Eagles in this game. Tanner McKee deserves to get that second spot, and he didn't look great either in the second half, okay? He had a strip, protection was a problem. He had a strip sack on him. Couldn't throw the ball, was inaccurate at times, couldn't get his feet set. He was just a mess in that second half, but there was a rhythm where they almost did score a couple times there. So he got, the defense tired. They did a fast-paced offense, got downfield, just couldn't get it right, couldn't get it in. So we'll see how that position goes. But, Kenny Pickett, I don't understand why he's just still starting in these first halves of these games where I think Tanner McKee should have had a chance. Same thing as last year. He shared reps, I think, in the second half of games last year, and now he's doing the same thing this year with the worst talent. And yes, it's the third preseason game, so I can't really count it that much because I know the protection is not going to be good. I know all of that. So that is the quarterback position right now. Now, the running backs was interesting. Price had a fumble, dropping balls. I mean, I thought Price really hurt himself today, but I didn't really see much from Kendall Milton. I didn't see much from Lou Nichols. A couple, catches from Lou Nichols in the second half. I mean, nothing crazy, nothing that really takes my eye off and say, oh my God, what happened? But, wondering if they do keep a fourth running back as of right now. And, Will Shipley didn't dress. Kenny G didn't dress. And obviously Saquon didn't dress. So you have the running back position right now. I think they will keep somebody obviously on practice squad. You have to at this point, but I think Price has been the better looking of all of the backs, and I think all of the backs have done really well, and I hope these other guys get opportunities with other teams because I think they definitely deserve it. Nolan Smith, guys, I'm sorry, but going into this offseason program, I really wanted really before training camp started, I really wanted Nolan Smith to cross-train at 2 positions. Not dropping in coverage as an edge rusher, but at least trying him at outside linebacker. We know the story. You gave away your best pass rusher, your best closer of this team, and you have Jalix Hunt dealing with an oblique injury right now, which I don't know how long he's going to be out for. So you already have depth loss or starter loss at this point, right there. And then with Nolan Smith, he's done, to me, 2 sacks in preseason. I don't even care about the sacks, dude. At least, give me some pressures. Give me, I want to see that pass rush. I want to see him push people back and put them on their ass. I don't know, something. It just hasn't been enough for me with Nolan Smith. I'm sorry. I talk about this edge position nonstop, and I still feel like it's a big weakness. And I still feel like it's a liability because I feel like we're not going to get enough. I think up the middle we'll get enough with the DTs and between the linebackers blitzing and some of these blitz packages. But when it comes to Nolan Smith, man, it's just not good enough for me. Just not. And Josh Sweat, it's not enough because I haven't heard anything this offseason, and he hates dropping in coverage. There's just so much that goes into it. Off of an unblocked sack from Nolan Smith, and then one where he bull rushes an offensive tackle. The running back chipped him, helped him get into the lane, get the sack. I mean, in the second game against the Patriots. I mean, for me, it's just, I don't care if he's gotten 10 to 12 pounds of muscle. He's done, it just hasn't been good enough for me. It's just the technique is not there. His toolbox hasn't expanded yet. And are the Eagles going to wait for another Brandon Graham type growth? When he turns 26, 27 years old, I don't know if the Eagles can wait that long for him. So I still think he's a liability. Obviously, last year is not his fault, so I'm not crapping on him. I talk about a player because I want him to get better. I don't want him to get worse. I don't do this for fun. I don't like talking about players like this. But the truth is the truth. Nolan Smith looks like booty cheeks. Simple as that. So you know what I mean? I have to say what I have to say, and that's where I feel about it as of right now. Now, Cooper Dejean, if you're expecting Cooper Dejean to have some shutdown game today, and he played a lot of snaps. I thought it was going to be maybe 12 snaps today, but man, he played a lot throughout all 3 quarters, maybe 4. I mean, had a couple of tackles in the backfield, crossing blockers, getting in their face. I mean, he was just around the football constantly. He had a couple of good coverages in the end zone by the same receiver that couldn't get his foot down. Cooper Dejean right there to push him right out of bounds before he can get that second foot down. So I think the coverage was good. Like I said, he just came off injury not too long ago, really, for the joint practices as limited. He's been limited for the last few days, really, during Eagles training camp. And then once training camp ended, I think he's finally full. So he went to this game. I wasn't expecting some shutdown game from him. He was going to just be all over the place. But I got to say, for a game type atmosphere, not a joint practice, not a training camp practice against your own squad, against in an actual somewhat game, I thought he played pretty damn good. And, I think, sky's the limit. The ceiling is up there for him. So we'll see what happens of where they actually put him going forward. Is it safety? Will they make adjustments with Cooper Dejean in specific matchups in games? Because I think his coverage, his tackling, it reminds me of Malcolm Jenkins. Those lower body tackles, never misses. I think he's going to be fantastic at that. He had a few reps at punt return as well. I think he only returned one for 6 to 10 yards. So I don't want to make a big deal about that too much. So James Bradbury did not dress today. So he will most likely be on the roster, as well as Avonte Maddox. So depth at safety has been an issue because, I'm sorry, but Vic Fangio talks this big game against James Bradbury. He's high IQ, great transition from corner to safety. For me, it's just man, dude, I don't think he can cover tight ends. I don't think he can make open field tackles. I mean, I think he's got the body for it for a safety, but as of instinct, I just don't think it's there with James Bradbury. We wanted this man out ever since they want to make him a safety, and maybe we thought the rumors were they want to build his value up and try to trade him. But I guess that was wrong this whole entire offseason program. With him and with Avonte Maddox, it looks like they're going to keep him at safety/nickel, but I think he'll keep him at both positions. They need help at nickel because I don't trust some of the guys that are there right now. Avonte Maddox is really your last hope behind Quinyon Mitchell at this point. than anybody else, unfortunately, because most of the guys do play outside, and some of the inside guys probably won't even make the team, whether if they're good on special teams as a gunner or something like that. So we'll see what happens there. So I think primarily Avonte Maddox will be, a backup depth safety. And like I said, his secondary position will be nickel if they do need him at that position. Now, the wide receivers, not really much, guys. I mean, I thought Joseph Nagata had a really good second preseason game. And like I say, guys, just because he had 88 yards doesn't mean he can get a roster spot there. Okay. And then finally, in this game, McKee gets the Eagles down to the red zone, and Joseph Nagata goes on a slant pass from the outside and literally closes his hands way too early. The ball gets deflected off his fingertips. It gets picked off in the end zone. So the consistency, I think Joseph Nagata has gotten better every single year, but to me, it's just not enough. Wide receiver wise, nobody else, nothing else. You know who your wide receivers are. You know what's going on. Obviously, Johnny Wilson and some of these other guys. Paris Campbell did play as well. I think Paris Campbell did play in this game. Didn't see anything. I think the Eagles are keeping 6 receivers. I think, Ainias Smith is going to be on this roster. I think he's going to make this roster, I think I've changed my mind because I don't think they want him on practice squad. I think they want him on this roster. They want him to learn. I don't think they want to give up on a 5th-round pick at this point. Paris Campbell coming off of a groin injury, and really John Ross, depending if they really value him at kick returner, that's going to be the only way he makes this roster. So if they keep 6, I think now with Jahan Dotson now in the mix, I think right now Paris Campbell and John Ross is going to be gone. I think Ainias Smith will actually be a backup receiver for this team. Obviously, the last roster spot at receiver, but I think the smart thing to do here is keep your future intact. Ainias Smith will learn on the way, I don't think you want to risk losing him. Not to know if he's going to get picked off the practice squad, but you don't want it to happen. So this really depending on what they feel about John Ross, and I think Paris Campbell's already gone. I don't even think he's making this team. From him being the leading receiver, wide receiver 3 during camp with no pads to a couple days in full pads, and then he got hurt, and then Johnny Wilson had the concussion, and then Britton Covey and obviously some of these other guys, they just either they've been available or they haven't had enough reps or haven't shown enough to make promise to be that wide receiver 3 this year. So there was a lot to talk about with the wide receiver position. Tight end EJ Jenkins. We know the tight end position the way it is. It's very injury prone right now. Dallas Goedert oblique injury. Calcaterra can't stay healthy. Albert O can't stay healthy. Not producing at all. EJ Jenkins had a small window throw thrown to him from McKee, which was one of his great passes of the day. Caught the ball good, but he dropped one in the end zone. 6'6", 235 to 245 pounds. EJ Jenkins will be the number 3. They don't have a legit number 2 here. If Calcaterra can't stay healthy, I've already said this, Jack Stahl was a big loss for this team going to the New York Giants. They should have tried to keep him. They should have paid him a little bit extra money. It wouldn't have been expensive. I don't know why they let Jack Stahl go, but CJ Usama got released. He couldn't block for his life. So really, guys, I think tight end is one of the more paper thin. Do they keep 3? I think they have to keep as many as possible. And I think 3 is a good number because I don't trust the health in front of EJ Jenkins. And EJ Jenkins might not be any type of player this year, but I would try to at least produce him. You know what I mean? You never know what you can have with him, and we'll see really how that goes going forward. We talked about defensive line a little bit. Really, safety, I think one player, Tristan McCollum, has really had a solid camp. He had a pick. That was a Cooper Dejean injury. I don't know if I talked about that before in this video, but Tristan McCollum, I think, should make this roster. Linebackers, Ben Van Simmeren had a fantastic day. I thought he played really good, making tackles, disruptive in the backfield. Ben Van Simmeren has gotten better, man. He's got this. He's a freak athlete it's really about terminology. And I think he's getting better at that, knowing the defense, what to do, and taking really good, at his tackling. He missed some tackles last year. A lot of guys missed tackles last year, but, I thought he did a really good job. I think he did really good there. Oren Burks really missed the whole entire training camp. He almost had a pick today, had a couple tackles. I don't think he makes the team at all, and I don't even think he's on practice squad at this point. I don't think he's really Patrick Johnson. I don't think suited up for this game today, but really did like the linebacker core competition wise. Trotter Jr. didn't really do too much today, so but I'm excited for him. Nakobe Dean did not dress, so I like that Nakobe Dean is ascending right now and want to see more from him. Obviously with Zach Bond, Devin White, those guys did not dress as well, so are definitely making the team. I think we all know that. And I think that's really it. So summarize this final preseason game. Like I said, this is a very back-end type preseason game where you're going to see a lot of deep backups that certain plays are going to look really ugly. Some of these throws, these wide receivers, some of these runs, the offensive line with no protection, things are going to look ugly. You're looking for these player analysis, okay? You're not trying to win or lose these games. These are for looking at specific players. And I thought from the few that we did see, I thought played pretty good. And obviously there are some big questions like I've talked about going into the regular season. Now, to talk about Jahan Dotson, his press conference for the game, which I definitely want to go over here. Now, Jahan Dotson, he had his press conference. He talked about, how he felt about the trade in general and was shocked. I don't think he saw that coming, that it was going to happen. But he says he's not going to take it personal until he sees Washington. So not only, what happened when A.J. Brown had his revenge against the Titans, that GM got fired the next day. Now you acquired two players from the NFC East, two high-caliber players from the NFC East that are going to get some revenge on the Giants, and now Jahan Dotson is going to want to take a shot at the Commanders a little bit. I don't blame him at all. That's how these players feel, and you take it as disrespect. Now he's the biggest mistake the Washington Commanders did was trade him in the division, and that's what they did. I think some of the Commander fans are still I think some of them may have agreed on the trade or disagreed, but still, why trade him to the Philadelphia Eagles? We're about to see what happens, but he's diving into the playbook. So he's worked out with A.J. Brown in the offseason. He's never been around a team as talented as this, quote-unquote, said by him, the amount of talent on this team. And he's just ready to go, okay? We talked about what matchup nightmares the Eagles could have because somebody will always be open, whether it's Dallas Goedert, whether it's A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts. I mean, you could literally put Jahan Dotson as the fifth option, maybe even the sixth option when you talk about Jalen Hurts running with the ball in his hands at this point, extending plays. So, as the number three, and, most defenses don't have three reliable corners for the roster that's stacked offensively. Three reliable corners a lot of teams don't have. And most likely Jahan Dotson will be on a safety and will be a huge mismatch. It's going to be insane. It's going to be absolutely nuts. So really like his attitude. Seems like a bright guy. Like I like his attitude. He carries himself really well. I saw during the warm-ups, Dotson was hanging out with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was walking him around and, getting comfortable and knowing the guys. And I can't wait to see. He's only got a week and a half to really know this playbook. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot on his plate, but I think he can handle it. And I can't wait to see Jahan Dotson in the Eagles uniform in the slot and just getting the wide receiver 3, the big upgrade that we really been waiting for is right here with him. So other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. That was the third preseason game. So I forgot if it's Monday or Tuesday. I'm stupid. I keep forgetting. By I think Tuesday, I think they have to cut the roster down to 53. And then by Wednesday, we'll see our signed 16. I think it's 16 or 15 players to the practice squad. And we'll see all that news. So let me know what you guys think about everything that happened today. How excited are you about Jahan Dotson? And what do you take from this last preseason game? Who shined? Who didn't? Are you worried about Nolan Smith? Because I think we all should be worried. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. And definitely like the video. It helps out the channel tremendously. And this video is sponsored by BetUS. Get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Click the link in the description and start betting because the Eagles are going to make you a millionaire and 100,000aire this year. Trust me. Trust me when I say it. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Chicks, what up? False Peace out, guys. Peace.